this.
It's now 6 o'clock. We will call the May 16th, 2024 Clarksburg Council meeting to order.
Councilmember Howe?
Present.
Councilmember Hyman? Councilmember Jackson?
Here.
Councilmember Ward?
Here.
Councilmember Wright?
Here.
Vice Mayor Riffle? And Mayor Malcolm.
Here.
This evening, we have our prayer and pledge by Councilmember Jackson.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening, and we ask that you be with us as we make these decisions for the people of the city of Clarksburg, and that our work aligns with yours. We pray that you put a thorn of hedge around us to protect us from all hurt, harm, incidents, and accidents, seen and unseen, that we may move our city forward. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Petitions, communications, and public hearings. Dr. Nicholson?
So Council, Dr. Sheena Nicholson, she's our new Director of Grant Programs and Community Development, so I wanted to introduce her to Council. And she's been here for almost 3 weeks. And she's just going to give you a little update on what she's working on. You feel free to ask any questions that you have.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sheena Nicholson, born and raised in Clarksburg. I currently live in Bridgeport right off Saltwell. And I've spent the last 10 years doing government contracting as well as mental health resources with addiction and recovery and crisis intervention. And I joined Clarksburg a little while ago. So since I've come, I asked for the proclamation for mental health awareness, and I've been doing some outreach to help connect all of the resources in Harrison County because there are so many. And we have been hosting resource partners in the lobby downstairs, and part of that initiative is to bring that awareness to the community and show Clarksburg's support to rid our community of opioid addiction and connect services to those in need. Since we've started, we're also working on locating all of our grant funding and returning access to all of the directors. I've met with pretty much all of the directors to ensure that all of our funding is aimed in the right direction. I've been doing some community outreach and working with Tommy Bailey to bring new businesses in. I brought the SBDC, Mr. Todd Crump, in to help support some of our local businesses with funding and resources as well. And I'm working with the communications director to update some of those resources within the city. So trying to bring a doctor's office into downtown Clarksburg. Mr. Bailey and I have been working with Dr. Ozenzara, who would like to not only open a full clinic, but also a secondary business with a crisis call center. I've been in communication with many community members, but 3 weeks has flown by. So I'll gladly entertain questions. I've tried to reach out to everybody, and if I've missed anybody, please let me know. And my office is open, and I'd love to work with each and every one of you to make sure the city puts their right foot forward.
Any questions?
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheena.
Thank you, Shana.
No petitions, nothing over there? Nope. Approval of the minutes of the regular session of May 2, 2024.
Move we approve the regular session minutes of May 2, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Unfinished business, consideration of second and final reading and public hearing of an ordinance of the City of Clarksburg to create Article 522 of the codified ordinances to create a private outdoor designated area within the Central Business District of Clarksburg.
We will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against may do so at this time. We will now close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
New business, consideration of approval of the Harrison Clarksburg Health Department's environmental fees for permits.
So I sent out an email, just to give a bit of history to council, I sent out an email explaining what this is about. I've also included on your tables tonight what the actual permit is and the fees. So this has been taken from the state and bringing into the local jurisdiction. So as of right now, the health board, or health authority can't charge any permit fees because that legislation has changed. That's why it's coming to the county, and it's coming to everybody, all jurisdictions that are included in with the Harrison Health Board to adopt these so they can continue to move forward with these permits and inspections.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
This is
Discussion.
Discussion.
Steve Ironman.
Mr. Heiserman, to maybe explain a little bit more to.
Can you come up to the mic?
Thank you, Steve.
I'm the Director of Environmental Services with the Harrison Clarksburg Health Department. I know a lot of you, not everybody, but a lot of you. The Senate Bill 212 gave the local health department, where our appointing authority is the city of Clarksburg and Harrison County. Okay, that makes up our board. In the past, we could promulgate a rule like smoking or different things related to health, and our board would vote on that, and that would become an ordinance that we enforced through the health department. Okay, so when Senate Bill 212 came, they took that power, they actually took all fees out of Chapter 16 that we've charged for years. And we had to promulgate a rule through the local health department to be approved by you and the county commission in regards to those fees, okay? Which you have a copy of that. But it's you all and this county have the ability to vote up or down on any decision the health department makes. It never used to be that way, but you still you're the appointing authority to make up our board, but you have the ability now locally to disapprove of things that we want to do as far as public health in the county and in the city. Does that help you any?
I had a question. Are these, because this is the first time this has ever been presented, I guess, to, since I've been on council.
Yeah.
So, are these fees usually typically what you all throughout the years, charge?
Yes, that's a good question. We had the same fee from 2006 until last year. We could have raised it the last year of COVID, but we didn't because we felt like it would be too hard on a lot of businesses that had struggled through COVID. So traditionally, we have always charged fees for many, many years. So it's the same thing that we've always done. Some of the fees expire. If you see, you've got June, the end of June, and some of our other fees expire the end of December. So they come up, they stagger them some, but that's been something that we've done in history and past.
And from last year to this year, do you see, is there any kind of new fees that you guys may be imposing, like on businesses or?
No,
Okay.
we operate fully on those fees, and it's likely who knows, it might be from 2006 to 2023, they were the same. So it's not something that we change fast and a lot, but inflation has been a big thing for everybody involved as far as operating the public health services that we do, clinical services as well, not just environmental. But this pertains to environmental strictly.
What kind of those services are there, environmental services?
Environmental services, we inspect restaurants, we look at complaints, garbage, We do swimming pool inspections for all indoor and outdoor pools. We get involved in failing septic systems. We do water samples in the community. Epidemiology, if you eat at a restaurant and you get sick, then they send that wherever you go to me. Actually, I'm the person that does that. We investigate that to see if it's a restaurant or if it's a or a grocery store that is causing a foodborne outbreak in the community. And we do a variety of different things in environmental health, but complaints, septic, water, air, indoor air a little bit. Okay? Just about anything that involves the environment, we are involved, in some way, we are involved in. And keeping it clean and safe to make sure we have safe water to drink and that restaurants are inspected and/or opened or closed if need be to make sure the public health is looked at.
Any other questions? Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Do you have to read it?
Do I-
Annette, does the mayor have to read this? Oh,
All those in favor?
okay.
All opposed?
No.
Martin Howe,
Yes.
Will Hyman,
No.
Mark Jackson,
Yes.
Wayne Worth,
Yes.
Patty Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Malvadio.
Yes.
Motion carries. Consideration of awarding bid for milling and paving of city streets and alleys.
Someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion.
Yes.
We didn't, I don't think we received the paving list, did we? We didn't get it, but on the bid, I see that there's 2 parking lots to be paved. What 2 parking lots are those?
One is the fire hall, just
Central.
downtown here, yeah. And the other one is, City Hall here. And the fire hall includes the sidewalk behind the building.
So the total bid,
I believe it was
568? 68?
568, 719, 40. They are contracted.
So we have additional $250,000 for paving then, correct?
There is an additional 178 to pave.
Okay. And our budget was what, 805?
The budget was for,
This current fiscal year is 450.
this current fiscal year is 450,
All right, so we're paving out this year
24, 2020,
23, 24.
23, 24.
All right, so the next year, we will have 805,000, and when will we pay for that?
With that, I think the 805 only came into play if we didn't pay this year, so we may have to do a budget revision.
Yeah,
because we didn't know if we would get it in this year,
Okay.
but
And-
Terry agreed to do.
So 100% of it is coming out of the levy, correct?
Yes.
All right. So we still, there's, well, it was in the past years, but there were 2 years that were not paved. Is that
I
2021?
21, 22.
I think every year was hit, it was just where it fell at different times of the year. I didn't bring that with me, but I thought I'd get out council several back at the time.
Yes, you gave out that during budget time.
Yeah. Yeah, 1920, it was not. And then, yeah. Okay. So what are you calculating the budget for next year at then, without the carryover apparently?
For 450, around there.
That, you need to see this.
Well, I like to see the streets.
I will send that out to council.
Who made the motion? You may make a motion?
I believe
It's
the
motion
point of order, I
second.
believe
We had
Publish
discussion.
them.
the
Name.
motion has to be made, naming the company and the amount.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, that's what I was.
I'm more than happy to do that, I suppose. We want to start over. You want me to do that?
Do you want to do that?
Mr. Mayor, I move we award the bid of $568,719.40 to Bear Contracting for paving city streets throughout the city.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Do we have the time frame on when this is gonna be done?
Unfortunately, Mr. Workman is ill today. Jason, do you have any clarification on timelines?
We were wanting to try to get it started at least by the middle of June and take 30 days roughly to get it done, so hopefully be done by the middle of July.
Thank you.
For clarity's sake,
We have a list for these streets. I mean, I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, I want to see this too, please.
but for clarity's sake, going forward with that time schedule, we bid it, start, probably sign the contract probably, when, a week from now?
Yeah, 10 days after.
So you're gonna do it in June, it won't finish up until typically late July after the building clean. So when we're paying it, we are taking it out of this fiscal year.
That's the goal. They've tried to get them to start at the first portion of June, but we weren't sure if any adjustments were gonna have to be made. So there's a chance that it could be done and the final payment made by the end of June.
I mean, I'm not opposed to, I mean, we already voted, but personally, I think we could have already just bid the total amount with the carryover into next year and paved way more and got it done this year.
So we could have done that. One of the things I've been discussing with Public Works is actually moving to a neighborhood format for paving. Because when you pave different streets all over the city, embedded in that bid price is moving that large equipment, which is expensive. If we were separated into 8 districts, if we move to a neighborhood paving program, you're gonna be saving even more tax dollars by being more efficient. So Johnny and I are looking at seeing how we can make that program work for Clarksburg, because anytime we can be more fiscally responsible with tax dollars and more efficient, I think it's a good thing.
Any other discussion?
Consideration of first reading of an ordinance exercising option and purchase of YMCA real property from the Municipal Building Commission, Clarksburg, West Virginia.
City manager is gonna give an explanation on this.
Yes, so Ashley, I'm gonna ask Richard to come up. What we're looking to do is move this out of the building commission into the city tonight. That's just so we can have further discussions, but I'll let Richard go into further detail.
Yeah, essentially, when the city decided to purchase the YMCA property back in 2016, to finance that, they took out loans through the Harrison County Economic Development Alliance. That was done wherein the Municipal Building Commission took out those loans. Municipal Building Commission bought the property from the YMCA, proceeded to lease the property to the city of Clarksburg, who then proceeded to lease the property to the YMCA. Pursuant to the terms of the lease between the Municipal Building Commission and the city of Clarksburg, once those loans were paid off and the deed of trust was released, then Clarksburg could exercise its option. The city council, the city itself, could exercise the option to repurchase the property from the Municipal Building Commission for $1. And so that's what the ordinance tonight is doing, is agreeing to purchase the property from the Municipal Building Commission for $1 to bring it back into the city's hands to decide further what to do with it at a further time. So that's where we're at. The deed of trust was released on the property.
So what's the What's the urgency to bring it back into the city? I mean, personally, I think the municipal building commission, with the property title to them, it's,
Grant availability.
well,
So there's large.
are you speaking for the city?
For the why. So eventually what we want to do, and that's what we want to have discussions with council about, is once it's back with the city, because we do have that grant for the Lowndes Trail, discuss with the why, what they want the building and some land. We may have to separate off the land to do the Lowndes Hill or enter into an easement. But if they own that building, they can then apply for a number of grants that they need to upgrade their facility. They have a 5-year plan moving forward. If we own it as a city, we don't have access to those grants. So the plan would be to move it into the city, to move it into the land bank. Once we know how we want to do that, we want to have that discussion with council next meeting. And then from the land bank, move it to back to the YMCA itself.
I would be more, apt to leave it in the building commission and have our discussion first before we move it. And then if we do not, because, unless we know where we're going to deed it back to the Y or sell it to the Y, I think it's probably premature. But I think my concern is back in 2016, when we purchased the property, the background of that, I don't know if the council's aware of why we bought it, but the YMCA had a $2 million note on the property. The USDA had the note in the property, ended up being, and this is where, in hindsight, we made the mistake as a city. We signed off to allow that to go, that property with the YMCA so they could get that loan, thinking in good faith they would cover that loan. So in 2017, I think that was done in 11, and so 5-6 years later, when they defaulted, we were not even told by the YMCA that they defaulted on the loan. By the Y. The USDA contacted myself at the time, but they contacted us to let us know. Otherwise, we would have had no notification. But the USDA's intent was actually to auction that property off. So if they auctioned the property that we originally owned and had deeded to us, that could have ended up to be a pipe yard or any other type of function, whoever purchased it. So when council decided to purchase that at that time for $250, it was to save the property from being developed by a private sector, a pipe yard, a pig farm, whatever it may be. But that's why the city purchased it.
Well, and that's the reason for bringing it back into the city. We've already talked about these options about first right of refusal, putting certain restrictions on it for recreation community development only. So all those mechanisms can be put in place. We are on a timeline because of the grants that are available, and they're large grants that are available. So these discussions need to happen with city council. And since the city of Clarksburg has made these investments into this building, it makes sense to buy it back for $1 and have these discussions as council, because it's been tax dollars that have been put forward and spent on this for so many years.
It's also the issue that the lease has expired because the lease tends to expire upon the payment of the bonds, and the bonds have been paid and the deed of trust has been released.
Well, draft a new lease and let's vote on it.
You can do that as well, but
My question is, I know we're considering, purchasing it back for $1. Can the municipal building commission, can they sell to the Y?
No, so we're doing what we're doing because this is the best way to facilitate this project. So back to us, to the land bank, to the Y.
So you're talking about putting it back into the land bank. So
Yes.
if you put it back into the land bank, then by state code, we have to advertise that to the adjacent property
No, you
owner.
don't.
No, you do not.
Okay,
you only have to do that at tax sale.
okay.
And
all right.
we don't have to, it doesn't have to be sold to the Y. Once you bring it back into the building, the city, then you can do it to URA, you can do it to land bank, you can do it however you want. It's just a matter of, at that point in time, council has options on what to do with it. And that discussion is the Y lease is up in 2026. So that's why, but no, the land bank does not have to offer it to anybody. It's only on tax sale you have to do the right for
Okay.
the
All right.
adjacent property owner.
So in essence, it's preconceived that we're gonna, if this is approved, we're selling it to the Y for how much?
We haven't agreed to anything yet. I think that's with council's decision. All we're asking
Well, I
tonight,
guess what I'm asking is has any communication been had between the Y and the city administration on a purchase price,
the Y has discussed purchase price with us.
which is much lower than what we pay?
Absolutely.
That's bad business.
I don't necessarily disagree. I'm just saying that to have that conversation, though, we need it back with council. Whether that's to sell it to somebody else or do whatever we want with it at that point in time.
How much of a loss would we be taking?
We haven't agreed on it.
150,000.
We haven't agreed on a price.
How much? Did you say 250,000?
150. I mean, we hurting for money that bad? I'm gonna answer that question, which is probably bad. But I mean, I don't think it's to resolve issues to gain money is to sell an asset, whether it's the city who owns it, the municipal building who owns it, the URA who owns it, the land bank who owns it. We should not sell an asset such as that.
But right now, we don't have to make that decision how we're gonna sell it. All we need to do is make the decision to pull the property back over so that it's under the city umbrella. And then we can decide at some later point what we're gonna do with it. But right now, we just need to get it back under the city umbrella.
Why?
Why not? It's $1.
But it's always gonna be $1, but the point, I guess my question is, if you're voting to bring it back into the city, you're pretty much telling everybody, disclosing you're willing to sell it.
Okay, but, you know, you say it's bad business to sell it back to the YMCA at a loss, but what if the YMCA decides that, they don't want it if we sit around and twiddle our thumbs too long on this? You know, we sit and, you know.
Well, I'll answer that question first.
Okay.
We sell it back to the Y for $100,000. They go get another bond for $1 million. 5 years later, I don't know, I won't be on council then, my 4-year term will be up. They default, and here, the USDA, another bank institution comes in and says, they defaulted. We're gonna buy it back,
Because we
and we're
don't,
gonna buy it back probably at $500,000.
because we don't have the resources or access to grants that they need to upgrade the facility, and we don't have the resources in our budget to fix it. Nor do I think
Nor do they.
they have access to grants that we do not.
Are
We
there
already
any
did
issues
fix
with
it up.
Timeline issues for the grant?
With heating
So
and air conditioning?
close that we can't wait 2 weeks to come back and talk about it.
Well, coming back and talking about it 2 weeks isn't gonna change the fact that it should be with the city to have these discussions with the Y.
I think we could have the discussions with the Y without the transfer.
I wouldn't do that. I don't think you should be having discussions about a building that you don't own.
I mean, technically, yes.
city
but,
should
I mean,
have those
but
discussions
I'm
with
glad you
the-
brought that up, because I'm gonna bring that up later in the meeting, that property that we don't own, that we invest money into without the building commission's consent. So I'll give you that.
My question is this, are we maintaining it right now?
Yes,
We have been.
yes. And that it's costing the taxpayers money to do that. And yes, maybe we will sell it at a loss. It's enough of a benefit to Clarksburg to keep it, but if we can have somebody else run it that has access to grants and has a viable plan to do that over the next 5 years, that is a good thing for the city.
Don't disagree. I mean, I would like to have the board of directors, the director here, and if it needs to be an executive session, I think we have to have that discussion.
I agree, but to have that discussion, the proper thing to do is to have it when you actually own the building.
Who come up with the $100,000?
That's the YMCA's proposal that we need to discuss with them.
Well, I move we table this item until, what's the next council date? June 6th.
June 6th. Do that.
So let me rephrase that, I'll move the table to June 6th, further discussion.
I'll second that. But I would like to add, if I could, that we bring the Y board of directors
I
in.
think we
to
can
have
make
that
that
discussion.
happen, I don't see why that's out of the realm of
Why
possibility.
don't we have a work session?
Well, I don't know if they want, if it's an executive session item, if they want for the sale of property,
It's an executive session?
it's a sale of property.
Okay.
But I'll make that second.
We have a motion and a second to table. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Council comments?
Will, Mr. Hyman, excuse me.
I don't have much to add, obviously we just went through the election and it's, looked like a pretty good turnout, looked like the, moving the election to the primary date did help boost the turnout, significantly, it looks like, so. Hope everyone has a great weekend, thanks for coming out, we'll see you next time.
Newly elected Mr. Jackson?
I would like to.
Re-elected,
thank
excuse
everyone-
me.
re-elected.
Excuse me, re-elected.
Okay. Thank everyone for coming out this evening. This is what this is all about for me. Let's get down, let's get some business taken care of. I hate to put these things off, but, if necessary, we can do what we need to do, get more facts and, start moving things forward. But, we need to make sure that we're always working, to make sure our city is progressing forward. But I thank you all for being here this evening, and with that, I'll pass it on.
Newly re-elected Mr. Howe?
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Going back to the building commission. So this building, City Hall, is owned by who?
Building commission.
Thank you. So I guess my question would be, since we're spending money on property that it's not ours, taxpayer money, being frugal about it, have we or you had a meeting with the building commission for any upgrades or things we are doing to this building?
No.
Okay, so going forward, I asked it before, please stop with the flooring and additions being made. I don't see it in the budget, I've not seen a budget revision, and now there's other things that are gonna happen to this building, which the building commission is not blessing, and it's their building. I can tell you, a previous city manager, Mr. Falk, knocked a hole in a wall in there that cost the taxpayer money, $15,000 to put a wall from code to the conference room. Now, then the wall was put back at X amount of dollars. We gotta quit putting money just to make little changes based upon personalities or design personalities people have. So they design and are paying for this building based upon the debt service. They are in charge of this building ultimately. If the wall's white, leave it white. If the floor's carpet, leave it carpet. The correct way to go about it is to do a budget and put it in the budget so we can have that discussion in the budget work session of what is being done. Ultimately, we're the caretakers of the building as well as public officials. So it's our duty to make sure this building's aesthetics are staying the way they're supposed to be. Or if we have to agree on if those are going to be changes made. So I would kindly request again that all the renovations cease and desist and stop. And then, I guess several items here. I think back in March, I think it was during the budget process that I brought it up, was I requested, and I guess probably should have voted on it, put it on the agenda, but I did request a hiring freeze to make sure our budget is under control going into this fiscal year. I still have concerns about where we stand currently and where we're going to stand July 1st. So again, I would request, I think you got all your major hires done, but I think we need to stop again, I think essential services, police department, I think we need to continue that. That's an ongoing process. But I think you need to look at it and stop. No more part-timers, no more, we have to really take a look at this because we got to get this budget under control going into the new fiscal year. It's not going to be fair for the newly elected, especially Mr. Deems coming on, to try to grasp that if we're going in as a whole, or if the carryover amount's not even be close to be met because of expenditures we could have stopped. So I really think we need to take a hard look at that and cease with the hiring for now.
Question, Mr. Howe.
Yes, sir.
Does that include summer help for
That's park board.
Huh?
That's park board. It's in their budget.
Thank you.
Just to add more confusion. So, this charter amendment that was done once, twice, and voted upon and amended. Councilman Hyman, I agree. I think it was a good turnout. I think the paper reported 34% or something for the county. I guess my concern becomes, again, I think the mayor at the time, when he was gung-ho on getting this charter change done, putting it out there, I don't think he really thoroughly thought it through of different scenarios. Again, we gave up all rights to the election by not having any partnership in it. We just gave it up. So you run the elections. We have no hearsay. Our city clerk is the chief elected, or the chief election official for the city. So from my understanding, when it comes to an election now, she has no say. She can't ask questions. You can't get information. There was a 34% turnout in the county, which is great. But we don't even know what the percent is in the city of Clarksburg. You know why? We can't get it from the county. They said it's not your business. We don't give that information out until after the canvassing. That's great. So I'm assuming 34% of the city was voting, I guess. I doubt it. And then you have a canvass coming up. City council in the past did the canvass. We would go through the election book. It was council's duty to make sure if there was a question about a ballot, is it good or bad? We removed ourselves 100% from monitoring those votes cast by the citizens, by your constituents. That's what was decided. So now, come Monday, is that when it is? Monday, the county commission,
Annette will be there.
Annette doesn't have a say. Do you have a say in that?
I was called today and told, they asked me, is anyone attending? I said Annette will be attending on Monday.
Okay, I might attend as well, because I might, if they're gonna let us speak, I'll be more than happy to speak. I think we all get along well over there. So I think that was a mistake. I mean, again, they're not gonna canvass the city's election. They're canvassing the county election. So any provisional votes, I'd like to know how many provisional votes are in the county or in the city, directly in the city. Because they're not gonna look at those provisional votes, from my understanding. So I think that's something that really, I think in hindsight, needs to be looked at. But I do hope we do get the final results of the percentage. All right, second, so the charter, this is probably section 5. This question came up again, and it's come up a couple of times last couple of days. You have two charters we're operating by right now, I'm assuming, the one current and the one we're going to. So the question came as well about the mayor and how it's elected. Is it every July, every 2 years? That's a question for Mr. Marsh. So I mean, maybe you can explain it, because I wasn't for the charter change for various reasons, but I can never get a clear answer for the last several years. So last year was a special election. Myself, Councilman Jackson was right. We're elected. July 1, per the charter, because that was the odd year, we elected the mayor. Now, reading the charter going forward on the new section 5, which is in effect, notwithstanding the foregoing, so I won't bore everybody reading that whole section of section 5. A change in mayor, a change from a mayor elected by and from council members to a mayor elected by the voters, notwithstanding the foregoing. The following transition period will control. At a special meeting held at 7:30 on the first day of July, the regular city election, the newly elected council shall elect one to serve as mayor for a term of 2 years. Then beginning in 2026, the mayor shall be elected at large by the qualified voters. So last year when we elected, was that for 1, 2, 3 years? Because I think there's confusion, because I don't know. And there's confusion amongst the citizens. They don't know. I've been asked, and I said, I don't know. So I don't know if you could provide some clarity, be appreciated.
We're happy to do that.
I mean, can you do it now?
I think the general position.
I think you wrote it.
I understand that.
Richard, can you come up to the mic? We were,
Yeah. So I think the general position is last year was a regular election. So therefore, it would have been a 2-year term at a minimum. Then becomes an issue of what do you do for that final year before it's a direct election. And I think it's an issue that council can make its choice as to how it wants to proceed on that. And beyond that, I think it's just a matter of how do you read that? It's a 2-year term, so I think you're going to end up having to do another election in '25 for a mayor.
For
unless
a
you-
1-year term or 2?
For a 1-year term.
And you just said it was 2.
No, the previous one was a 2-year term, because your 26 is going to control, because that's going to be a direct election. You can't do a 2-year term to go over your 26 election.
Okay. So you're throwing it back, you wrote it, you're throwing it back on us to figure it out.
I think that you all, the mayor position is one elected amongst yourselves, so I think you can make that decision.
Okay.
thank you.
Well, stay there. So let's go to the mayor. 2026. So whatever was contemplated when it was a direct mayor vote, reducing the cycle of 4 to 3, 3 council members, 1 mayor.
Yes.
3 council members are voted to how many years?
They're voted to 4.
Interesting. How many years is the mayor voted to?
2.
So somebody's gonna run for mayor for 2 years. After the 2 years, you either get reelected or you're gone.
That's correct.
So I don't understand the thinking behind that whatsoever. I don't know if you can explain that as well. Oh, you weren't here.
No, but I've read it, so, and I
I've
don't
read
know if this was the interpretation, but the problem is if you have a 4-year term for the mayor, because there's elections every 2 years, if someone in that 4-year term wanted to run as mayor, they'd have to step off council to run for mayor.
All right, that brings me to the next question.
Which creates an interesting dynamic in the city.
Well, it's an interesting dynamic, that's for sure. But knowing who, I'm gonna say wrote it, not you, 'cause I think I know the individual who wrote it. I don't think he could contemplate, because so you're saying step off. So 2 years from now, 2026, Councilman Jackson is gonna run for mayor, hypothetically. So you're saying he has to step off?
Well, yes, because,
I don't think so. He is elected to a 4-year term.
yes, I understand that, but it gives an unfair advantage because then you are saving yourself a seat at the council table if you run for the mayor and you're already elected, whereas
So let me ask you.
another 3 people don't have that same option.
Man, they probably should have ran. So whose interpretation is this? Ours?
I think that you all have that ability to make that interpretation based upon the severability clause of the charter.
Because nowhere in here does it say if a sitting council member who wishes to run and while seated shall have to resign. It doesn't say that. So there is nowhere that somebody could argue you have to resign, right?
I think it's a situation where normally you don't have to resign from your seat to run for something, as long as obviously you can't run for 2 positions at once, but.
Yeah.
But if you're a county commissioner, I don't think there's anything that prevents you from running for Congress. So I think it's the same principle. It's a second seat because it's a separate, the mayorship is a separate seat
With equal powers.
with equal powers as a council member.
Right, right, but if that person who is, and this is probably to what, probably the issue is, let's say you did win mayor, you just ran an election, now your seat is empty, so you're gonna have to hold another election to fill your seat.
No, it comes back to this council.
Or the
to-
next
to-
highest
to
vote
seat
getter.
Within 30, no, it does not. This council then has the right to appoint any citizen to that seat. If he became mayor, we have 30 days to do so. If not, then that action takes.
It's the,
Well, I think, actually, if I may, the charter was, there was an ordinance that said that if there was a vacancy in council, it would automatically go to the
Next
next
highest
runner-up
voter.
from that election.
Yes.
Unless they didn't want the seat.
That's right.
That was also on the charter change?
No,
I
that's the
believe that was an
original
ordinance
charter.
written in 2019 or 2020.
Yeah,
In the
I read
ordinance.
that,
I believe so.
So we can read,
no, it's in one of the
I-
charters, because I read it today.
Well, I'm gonna go with Will. It's in the ordinance. So,
It's in the,
okay, all right, all
I
right.
know that there was a vote for it, right?
Right,
Clarify.
right.
Okay, is it in the charter then?
It does take,
That was-
Yes.
It'll say that the next,
Vote getter,
Yeah.
and if they don't want it within 30 days, then council gets to
That's why
appoint
we
somebody.
appointed Kennedy. Remember?
No, that is not why. That is not
It
why.
was changed after the
It was changed after him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would say.
It's in there now,
2019 or
So 2019. So
Some
there was,
sort of in there.
so I'm assuming that was the year that the election, it had to be 20, right? There had to be an election.
I'm looking at it right now. If I could.
I believe it's in the charter.
But that was a charter change.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so that was in election 20.
Yes.
I
Okay.
don't believe it was a referendum. I don't believe that was one of the five.
No one protested it, so it passed. Is that-
Perhaps. I don't know. Like I said, I was on council. I was just.
I believe it was
watching from there.
included in one of the
I think it was
amendments.
included in the whole
Yeah,
large
it was
charter.
included within the amendments.
Really?
Interesting.
That is interesting, because I don't really remember it like that, but I've slept since then too, so.
Yeah, well, that is interesting. All right. Well, all right, a lot to contemplate. This year, next year, 2026. All right, on to fun stuff. Grass season is upon us. It's growing fast. I would like to make sure we give Public Works and make sure we have the crews out there, and, you know, I think there's overtime budgeted for that type of work, but I think we just need to really be conscientious of that and look at that as we move forward. I don't know if they're not taking the overtime or what, but we really need to look at that. All right, again, I'd like to congratulate Councilman Jackson on his win. Councilman-elect Ryan Deems. I'd like to continue working forward towards better things for the city. I think we all work well. I think we have disagreements sometimes, but I think we have all the heart's in the right place to do the right things. So I greatly appreciate that. Councilwoman Wright, I would definitely like to thank you for your service this past year, 8-9 months, where we're at. You've offered a lot of insight, a lot of recommendations. I don't think that goes unnoticed. So I definitely encourage you to continue your passion in the private sector, but don't forget us in the public sector and elected officials. And I hope you like to be elected again and run again. I think you're definitely an asset. So by all means. And again, I'd like to thank everybody here coming out tonight. No one really expressed any concerns tonight, so that's a good thing. So thanks for coming out. I think that's all I have. Sure? Yeah. Ask in 10 minutes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes, thank you all for being here. Obviously, as you know, my time is running short here on council, but I've really enjoyed working with these other gentlemen. It's been a great experience, and I've learned a lot. So thank you to all who supported me throughout the past year, and I'll definitely be attending the last couple meetings that I have. And wish the council best of luck moving forward, and I agree, I think everyone's heart is in the right place, and we all do want the best for Clarksburg, and that includes the newly elected Ryan Deans. I agree that he wants the same, so I want to congratulate him as well as Councilman Jackson on their win, and as well as Councilman Howe, and I hope you all have a great weekend, so thank you.
Councilman Ward?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out too, and, just being a part of this. It's good to see people here to, to participate in this and, voice your concerns. And even if you don't voice your concerns, just being here anyway, it's very important. The agenda items that we passed to POTA, I think we're probably maybe the 4th or 5th city in the state of West Virginia to do that. I believe that we don't really have many private outdoor or private, I guess you could say, bars or clubs, but this definitely opens the door, I think, for a future to be able to do this, and I think it's a good thing. And I appreciate the gentleman from the health department coming here and explaining, to us, because this was very new to us. And we just, a lot of times we just want to make sure, like if we had to make a decision that we've never made before, that we want to make sure that this is pretty much the standard that the health department, the standard fees that they charge anyway. That way we're not, getting ambushed by folks saying, hey, that was a new fee, you guys voted for it, and we didn't know. But so that's why I appreciate you coming out and explaining. And the other thing with the YMCA, I'm glad we tabled that, because, really, even if we would have passed it on first reading, there would always be a second reading, of the ordinance. And really, I would just like to know a little more information on that too, and see where we're at, moving forward with that. The other thing I really like to talk about, because myself and pretty much a lot of other council members on here, have been a part of this for, probably going on 4 or 5 years now, is picking up litter in our town and sort of mixing a neighborhood watch and with that. And I just wanted to get some, follow-up. I have some follow-up questions just for, our city manager, on some of the, because with the United Way, we've been doing a lot of litter cleanups just with volunteers lately here in Clarksburg. And I always say that I always say probably the best neighborhood watch that you can do is going out and picking up litter, walking your dog, or doing something, because you're out there, you're seeing things. And the last few weeks, and I'm going to start doing this from now on, like when I'm out there volunteering, doing litter cleanups and stuff throughout the city, I'm going to start writing down concerns that I have, and seeing those will be addressed. So my first one is, it's just sort of a follow-up. We did a West End litter cleanup probably a couple weeks ago. While cleaning up that litter, and I think I sent you, a text, Lower Hart Street behind the Dollar General. It appears that there was 3 waste management trash cans that were full of trash, and they don't look like they were in people's yards. Look like probably someone stole those and moved them down there beside the river. And my concern is, if we're out there with the volunteer hours doing all this work, and I really appreciate your help with getting Public Works to pick up those bags of trash after the volunteers clean that up. My thing is, can you provide some sort of follow-up to see what Waste Management did with those trash cans? Because I'm worried that they're just going to get tipped over again, and then we're cleaning up another mess. The other question, the other follow-up that I have is that 3 weeks ago we did a litter cleanup in the Broadway neighborhood, and on the corner of Fowler and Lafayette, and this car's been there for at least a year, because I've been picking up litter there for at least a year. And the tags have been dead since 2018. It's sitting there on a public street. It's a disabled vehicle, totally not legal at all. And I think I sent you, a text on that. Can you provide me an update on that too? Whether that was, rectified or not. I know that when law enforcement goes out there, they have to tag a vehicle, and then there's like 72 hours before they can tow it.
I think it's longer than 72 hours.
Well, I don't know, but
Right
yeah.
there. Okay.
So if I could get
I think it was, I'll check, see if it was tagged, but I know
It was ticketed, right?
you sent it to me. And
Yeah.
the officer went and took care of it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys, really do. And then last night in Adamston, there was a couple of issues. One was we have I guess the city owns it, it's a wooden boardwalk that runs from West Pike Street to Fairmont Avenue. And apparently a lot of people from Upper Adamston use that to walk down. I'm going to tell you right now, the railing on it is so flimsy and loose that at any time, if someone was walking there at night and they maybe put a little bit too much pressure on that railing, they would fall and roll down the hill. And I'm really concerned about that. And I think Public Works has been up there from what the neighbor says, and they've replaced some boards and stuff. But we really need to look into that because that could end up being a problem. And my last thing is on 1603 West Pike Street. It looks like there's a house that's up for auction. I don't know whether it's condemned or not. If you could see if that property is condemned, it's been reported a lot of vagrants been in and out of there. West Pike Street through there. It's pretty much a thoroughfare where folks are, folks, vagrants, whatever, are using that to get behind Shop and Save, and where the old glass factory used to be on the tracks there. And there's been a lot of from what was reported to me from the neighbors, there's a lot of people in and out of that building. So if you could figure out whether it's condemned or not, and see, where we're, what's going on with that property. I mean, the grass is about this high. I know in the past, Public Works have mowed properties and sent people bills. It's just gonna end up, there's people that live across the street from it and across from Fowler from it, and they gotta deal with that. So if that could be looked into, and then, kind of give me an update of what's going on, I would greatly appreciate it. And I apologize for, throwing this on you, and stuff, but, to me, public safety is like probably at the top of my list. That's important. And when I see people out there, whether it's me and Will or other volunteers and people in the neighborhood really caring, to pick up the litter and to look around and to see what's going on in the neighborhood, I just think it's just my obligation to sort of, report that to you to see if we could get some of those things addressed. So that's all I have. I appreciate everybody's time, and I want to congratulate, Councilmember Jackson. I love his energy. He's a go-getter. I'm glad he got reelected. Councilmember Howe, I can't say enough good things about you. I mean, I've learned so much in the last year that you've been on here, and it's good to see someone that has so much experience, at the table, and really help someone like myself, make some better informed decisions. And Councilmember Wright, I'm sorry that it didn't turn out like it did, and believe me, I've lost 3 elections in my life, so before I won one, and so I know what that feels like. It feels like a punch in the gut for a week, and you're always asking questions like, what can I have done better? But I'm going to tell you, you were a true asset to this council, and very balanced person, and I hope that you decide to run for something one day. So, because I believe that you're young enough and you have enough ambition and you're very intelligent, and I think you will, whatever leadership role you decide to be in life, not just politics, I think you'll do well. And that's all I've got to say. Take care. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. See something, say something, folks. Pick up the phone, dial 911, please. These election results, you know, congratulations, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Howe, Ms. Wright. You know, I'm just flabbergasted. But please, come back, because you have been an asset to this council.
Thank you.
I've got concerns about everything being turned over to the county. If they're not going to count those provisional votes, excuse my French, what the hell happens if we get into a close election and it's 1 or 2 and they're not counting those votes? That, you know, that could be problematic for the city. I think something needs to be done. I think Annette should at least be involved. I think, Ms. Fell, you should go and speak to the county commission about this, because if it gets down to an election, if it's for the mayor or council, and, I mean, we've had it happen here that provisional votes were counted and he ended up flipping, they pulled a football out of a hat.
There was a coin toss too.
There was?
Wasn't a coin toss and a football?
That's how Gary Keith got on council, because him and what's his name from Heartland Plain, you know?
I don't wanna interrupt.
Huh?
Brett and Pearson.
No, it was, Tyler,
I don't wanna interrupt, but, I mean, if there's a provisional ballot, they're gonna check it. I mean, whether they relay that information or not, that's what we need. I mean, you know.
well, I mean, we need to know.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
you
that
know, if they're
did
cutting
pretty
us
good
out
job on it.
completely,
I
it
think
sounded like to me
commissioners-
that, you know, they're,
I think they just weren't gonna give us the information ahead of time. I don't think they're gonna have an issue once they're done giving us all the information that we want.
yeah, but if they're gonna give it to us after the fact, what happens if, God forbid, I run for mayor and Wayne runs, and, you know, they say, well, you know, Wayne won, and then Malfajo's got X amount that turns around and beats him, then what happens?
I think it's transparency.
You think?
No, I think that's what you're asking.
Okay, I mean, I don't like the fact that the county's cutting us out altogether.
Had this, I hate interrupting their council comments, because
No, I got a call
anyway,
today in.
I don't think it's gonna be, you know, I don't think they're gonna cut us out. I mean, I would hope that they're professional enough to relay the correct information and relay to Annette, and Annette will be part of the process, and if there's a question about provisional ballots, I'm sure it'll be part
But
of it.
why after the fact? Why not be part of it?
Everything is after the fact. The election has happened. The provisional ballots will be counted after the election.
Right.
I mean, I just, you know, I know everybody's concerned here, but I think it's much about nothing. I mean, I'm sure if there's an issue, we're gonna be told about it. And I'm sure all the provisional ballots will be counted.
Okay.
I mean.
Well, I just wanna make sure that they are.
When we canvass it here, we bring in council, you know, I remember doing it the last couple of times now, you know, well, I'm sorry, once, last year. But,
Felt like twice, didn't it?
yeah, it felt like it might as well, then. But, you know, I think it's gonna be handled perfectly.
Okay, I just, you know,
But, you know, not to go back again, but, you know, I think there are some legitimate concerns about what Mr. Howe brought up. I'm sure we can figure it out. But
other than that,
Sorry.
everybody have a great weekend. You know, I don't know what's all going on this weekend. I'm sorry I didn't hear that last comment.
So go ahead, continue, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Anyway, everybody have a nice weekend. Thank you all for coming out. I have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
I just saw the ballot, and yes, I think it's